Absolutely. Let's talk about the Hoia Baciu forest. Now, originally, I was going to do this forest as an episode of biomes. However, there was very limited information about what I could find about the actual geography and flora and fauna of the area. Pretty much all of the information I could find about this forest is that it's just haunted as fuck, so let's talk about that instead. The Hoia Baciu forest is this very old forest located within the Transylvania region of Romania. And it is considered to be one of, if not the most haunted forests in the entire world, with folklore and legends and kind of just events going back for a very long time. And there is a lot of folklore and ghost sightings and hauntings that have been cited as coming from or around this forest. Lots of people report seeing apparitions of ghostly figures, as well as UFOs and hearing voices and a bunch of weird stuff. Many people report seeing orbs or floating lights reminiscent of the will-o'-the-wisps, which I have talked about before on here, which have largely been attributed to the combustion of swamp or other wetland gases being released and igniting upon contact with air. Now, there are a couple more aquatic and wetland regions within this forest, so the will-o'-the-wisp swamp fire explanation is not super far-fetched and is most likely the cause for these floating lights that people are seeing. And there are a bunch of very interesting geographical features that can be found in the forest, such as these ones, the bent trees. Now, these bent trees are just, say hi honey, are just a region of the forest where, okay, all of the trees are just bent like that. They're at... Can I help you? You can be in the video, but you can't scream. Now, these bent trees are in a specific area where pretty much all of the trees are at least some degree curved in the same way, going the same direction in the same approximate shape. Now, bent trees like this are not unheard of. They are found pretty much in every forest ever, but it is interesting that all of the trees in this specific area are bent in the same way. Now, the hypothesis as for why they are like this includes environmental factors, such as things like a very heavy snowfall when these trees were very young, and that snowfall caused the trunks and stems of the young trees to be warped, and then when they got a little bit older and a little bit stronger in their stem and trunk area, then they continued to grow up straight after the initial warping of the young trunk, which is why it's only warped like that at the bottom. Another interesting area is the clearing. Now, the clearing is just this area that is in the middle of the forest where there's no trees or any large plants. Now, if you look up the clearing on the less scientific, more ghost hunty websites, it will say that the clearing is this mysterious area in the middle of the forest where nothing grows. It is completely barren. However, as you can see from this photo, that's not really accurate. While there are no trees, while there's no large plant life, there's still plants growing there. It is covered in grass and has things like wildflowers and small shrubs in it, so it's not completely barren. Now, if you had to ask me why I think this clearing is here, I would say that it is probably a case of aquatic succession, where this area used to be a pond or a lake. And the process of aquatic succession is where a water feature gradually gets filled in with plant debris and other stuff like that, so it builds up a layer of sediment which turns into dirt, and eventually, over a long period of time, the water feature basically just gets filled in and turns into a meadow. And since this meadow area has been land for a lot shorter time than the surrounding forest, then it hasn't quite caught up to the climax forest of the kind of terrain around it. And eventually, in a long period of time, if there's no ecological disturbances that causes the succession to reset, it will eventually grow trees and catch up to the surrounding area and be just another part of the forest. But since the land and soil and everything is a lot newer and doesn't have the opportunity yet to grow these large trees, it is kind of a very jarring difference between the clearing and the surrounding forest. Now, for archaeological reasons, the Hoia Baciu forest is also very interesting. It was discovered that there is the oldest Neolithic village or site ever found in Romania, found in this forest. This site is a Neolithic settlement that is from 6,500 BC, or a very long time ago, and again, it is the oldest Neolithic archaeological site ever found in Romania, and one of the oldest in Europe in general. This forest has also been the site for a number of disappearances and missing person cases, and while it's unlikely that that can be attributed to any ghosts or aliens or cryptids, it is still a very large and very old forest, and likely people just get lost in there, and that has also given it the name of the Bermuda Triangle of Forests. Now, there is a national park within this forest, and it is a decently popular tourist and recreation spot. However, again, it is still a rather wild area, and ghosts and apparitions aside, be safe when you go there, follow proper procedures, and make sure you don't do anything that could get you lost in this forest, because it's not ghosts, it's just people not knowing how to act in the wild. But regardless of what may or may not occur within these forest boundaries, it is a very interesting place, and it has a lot of lore and history surrounding it.